Shall we start?
Please proceed, ma'am.
Yes, start.
Good evening and welcome to Maha-IIP and Raigad IIP Journal Journey. At outset, let me congratulate Maha-IIP members from our Raigad IIP branch. As you know, Maha-IIP President Dr. Hemant Gangolia, who is present here, congratulations sir. Dr. Vinayak Patil, Maha-IIP Vice President, he was installed. Dr. Jay Bhandarkar, Scientific Convener, Maha-IIP. Dr. Neha Singh, co-editor, as well as Dr. Rajendra Chandorkar, co-editor, and Dr. Vishal Raut as digital wizard, as well as Dr. Sunita Ingre, Maha-IIP Women's Committee member, and we appreciate all the contribution to Maha-IIP from Raigad IIP. We appreciate your achievements and over to Dr. Neha for further proceedings.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Maharashtra Academy of Pediatrics and Raigad branch of Pediatrics, I welcome all the respected dignitaries, seniors, and our live tube attendees to another episode of Journal Journey. I request everyone to please keep their mic on mute during the session. Questions can be typed in the chat box or asked later at the end of each session. Now I request our President, Dr. Pramod Wankhede sir, to say a few lines. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neha. All respected seniors and my dear friends, good evening to all. I am really delighted to welcome you all on a very prestigious program of Raigad IIP and Maharashtra IIP. In fact, this program initially was Raigad IIP, but our Maharashtra president took it to a very big level with a wide platform of Maharashtra state, so that more and more people will join and there will be an exchange of thoughts, knowledge and ideas. So thank you, sir. So I initially welcome our dynamic president, Dr. Gangolia sir, President Maharashtra IIP, and one of the pioneer member of forming this club, Journal Journey. I also welcome a very vibrant, dynamic, and very enthusiastic Secretary General, Dr. Amol Pawar. I think he is not here. So welcome, Amol. I welcome our respected Dr. Neeman Mohanty sir, a key person, guide and advisor of this program. Because of this program, we are running this, running forward. We have got two experts, stalwarts in pediatrics. Dr. Pramod Kulkarni sir is a consultant pediatrician at KM and Dinanath Mangeshkar Hospital, and also is a executive board member of Central IIP. Our another expert, Honorable Dr. Vijay Kamble sir, is a professor and HOD of MGM Medical College, Navi Mumbai, Kamote. We have got two presenters today. Dr. Avinash Bhosle sir, please welcome. He is the director Chirai Hospital at Jalgaon, and he will be talking on obesity, cardiovascular and metabolic effects. And our another presenter, Dr. Jayashree Kulkarni. Jayashree ma'am is very well versed with Dr. IIP Raigad. Jayashree Deshpande, sorry, is very well versed with our IIP Raigad. Frequently we are meeting in either our program or there. And she is a consultant at Ashirwad Hospital, Nala Sopara. So I welcome all the dignitaries of the board, on the board, and I'm seeing Dr. Sadavarte sir is there, the, executive board member, Maharashtra IIP, and others. and I welcome you all audience. Over to Neha. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. For today's journal reading, we have chosen two topics which will be presented by our two eminent speakers. We also have with us two respected experts for each topic. Friends, childhood obesity remains a significant and prevalent public health concern. It leads to development of cardiovascular diseases, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and so on. So the first topic for discussion is cardio-metabolic risk stratification and lifestyle interventions for risk reduction among overweight and obese school children. Now I request Dr. Chitra Kulkarni ma'am to please introduce our experts and speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Neha. And our first expert is Dr. Vijay Kamble, sir. He is having 23 years of teaching experience and he is presently HOD MGM Medical College, Navi Mumbai. He has published 11 research papers in national journals and 2 in international journals. Welcome, sir. Our presenter for the obesity topic is Dr. Vijay Kamble, sir, welcome. And Dr. Avinash Bhosle is young and dynamic director of Chaitanya Mother and Child Hospital, Jalgaon, and he is clinical in charge of Niramay, PICU and NICU. And recently, he has been given a responsibility of Maha-IAP EB member. Welcome, Dr. Avinash, and please share your presentation. Over to Dr. Avinash.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for your generous introduction. So today the topic which I will be discussing is the journal article Cardiometabolic Risk Stratification and Life Interventions for Risk Reduction Among the Overweight and Obese School Children. The article has been written by the eminent faculty, the Kamble sir and the Mohanty sir, and it has been published in the Open Journal of Child Health in 2020. At the outset, I would like to thank IIP Raigad and Maha-IIP for this unique and innovative idea of journal journey and taking it to all over Maharashtra by involving the all zones share rotation wise. And definitely it's a vision of our president, sir, Dr. Hemant Gangolia, sir, to take the scientific programs on a larger scale. So I like to thank Dr. Hemant Gangolia, sir, and the Dr. Amol, sir, and all the Maha-IIP office bearers. So why we have taken this particular paper? So if we see the background of the problem, the children who are above 85th centile of the age and gender with additional risk factor, there should be screened for the diabetes. And the prevalence of cardiometabolic risk factors in many children has been increasing substantially over the last 15 years. And the schools were the important stakeholder in the population-based health promotion and risk reduction for various other parts. So this particular article was looking into that, whether the schools can be taken up for such kind of activities. So as already I told, the article has been published in Open Journal of Pediatrics in Child Health. Its impact factor is 1.9 and it's the official journal for the Royal Australian College of Physicians. So the hypothesis behind the study was screening and recruitment will be effective in identifying children at risk for cardiometabolic diseases and successfully enrolling them in a lifestyle modification program. So when we saw the Pico analysis, the population sample studied was age group of who completed 10 years of age and who are less than 18 years of age. and obese and overweight children whose parent gave the consent for the study. The intervention involved was risk stratification by the Indian risk for the diabetes score, then the healthy heart score, and pre and post counseling knowledge score compared. The comparison was done in the overweight and obese group for the risk factors. The outcomes were 10%, about 10% of children were overweight and about 4% of them were obese. And the post-counseling knowledge about the preventive strategies for the cardiometabolic risk reduction showed significant improvement. The duration of the study was 6 months. It was a prospective interventional type of studies. It was carried in the MGM school near Navi Mumbai. 305 children were screened to identify overweight and obesity. The inclusion criteria were children who completed their age equal to or more than 10 years of age, who were obese and overweight, and whose parents gave the consent. The children who were more than 18 of years were excluded from the study. So when we look into the results, out of 305 children who were screened, about 10% were overweight and about 4% were the obese. The earlier studies showed around percentage of 5.7% to 8%. So in this study, it was on lower side. 80% of children had waist circumference more than 95th centile. 22% had systolic blood pressure more than 85th centile. 28% had BMI more than 95th centile. The 61.3 children had the moderate risk and 35% had the high risk for the diabetes as per the IRD score, and 88.9% obese children had the high cardiovascular risk, and 68% of overweight children had cardiovascular risk according to the happy heart score. When the authors looked into the lifestyle pattern, they found that the abstinence of intake of fruit and vegetables was noted in 9% of overweight children. Abstinence of salt intake was noted among 72% of overweight as compared to 44% of obese children. And not practicing saturated fat restriction was encountered in 13% of overweight children, which was 55% in obese children as compared to them. Physical activity less than 30 minutes was encountered in 9% of obese children, and same percentage was 33% in obese children. So this shows that the children were lacking the baseline knowledge regarding the lifestyle habits, and they required guidance. So the authors they stated that the children who were obese and overweight, they counseled them based on the WHO cardiovascular risk reduction guidelines, and thereafter they re-administered the same questionnaire to assess the impact of structured counseling. So educational intervention resulted in a significant increase in the knowledge regarding the preventive strategies for cardiometabolic risk modification. Post-counseling, the total score and the score related to the item, particularly the diet, has showed the increase which increased significantly as compared to the pre-counseling scores. So majority of school children found the counseling to be useful, complete, and balanced. Strength of study, it's first of its kind which explored the IRSDs and the Indian risk for diabetes score and the happy heart score in the school setup, and it offers encouraging increase in the knowledge about healthy lifestyles through a cost-effective interventions. Limitation of the study, sample size was small and it was a single site study. The family parameters were not assessed, like socioeconomic status, parents' education, parents' BMI, history of premature ischemic heart disease, and history of diabetes in parents' perception about the child's weight. Then it requires more information about the study population parameters like IUGR, then infant of diabetic mother, history being in the neonatal period, acanthis nigricans, then the polycystic ovarian kidney, polycystic ovarian diseases, So this kind of the information has the implications on the obesity and further development of the diabetes also. The BMI assessment along with post counseling score was not seen in this study. So what this study adds, although the preliminary results are interesting and meaningful, this issue warrants the intensive studies of the prevalence of the cardiometabolic risk among overweight and obese children and the structured intervention for the risk reduction. Thank you very much for patient hearing. After that, Dr. Vijay Kamble sir will be giving his expert comments on the paper, who is the one of the principal authors of this study. Thank you.
Thank you, Avinash sir, for presenting a very interesting topic on childhood obesity and its consequences. Lifestyle issues, too little activities, and too many calories from food and junk are the main contributors of childhood obesity. But genetic and hormonal factors might also play a vital role. Now I request our expert, Dr. Vijay Kamble sir, for his expert opinion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, IIP Raigad. We are doing this journey of journal since many months, and it is quite successful program. In fact, for the first program, I was again one of the experts. Regarding obesity, this study we have done at MGM with help of MGM school also, and it was published in a reputed journal, and it was basically a ICMR short-term study. So the study duration was 6 months. So there have been certain limitation, but what always we want to do is how the study was performed, and it was accepted by ICMR. That means there was some interesting facts into the study, being as said by Avinash, Dr. Avinash. So first, whenever we go for the study, we try to find out hypothesis. So hypothesis of this study, we have to prove. That is null hypothesis. If it is equal, it is not proved. Means the significant difference has to be found out. So here the authors have tried to find out whether the initial assessment and the final assessment after 6 months of this study there was any significant difference between especially the knowledge, attitude, and perceptions, and whether this stratification of cardiometabolic risk at initial point can be helpful by giving interventions. Being a small study and only one school study, that is a limitation as said, but the flow of the study seems to be very good. That is why it can be done in larger aspects, and certain scores like IRSG and HSSA, although they have been tried into the adults, in pediatric population and adolescent, they can be used easily and extensively by doing multicentric study. As everybody knows, obesity is increasing, and in fact worldwide it is seen that obesity is causing much more mortality, especially in developed countries, than the undernutrition. So undernutrition, and everybody is knowing severe acute malnutrition cases we are seeing very less as compared to some 10 years ago. Although in hunger index India is down going, we can't say after COVID what will happen, but still obesity is becoming the pandemic like a COVID all over the world, and that is why we should know certain important facts about the obesity. And obesity can be again related to premature low birth weight in India, and junk food also, or dietary factors. Multiple factors are there. That is not part of today's discussion, but genetic and other endocrine factors also are important. That has to be also evaluated. So whenever first baby comes to us, what is important, only one parameter is there as a growth assessment, is BMI percentile. That is what previously some 5 years ago, BMI more than 25, 29, 30, 28, 30, that was the cutoffs for all throughout from adult, but that is for adults. For pediatric, we have to see age specific percentile. As I can give one example, if so don't believe only BMI values. see percentile, go to the percentile chart, cut off, and as discussed by Neha, that is the most important, and CDC definition carries also meaning in our country also, and we have also accepted IAP growth charts till 5 years of age, and above 5 years our IAP charts are there, and they are both of them are giving percentile charts. So we have to go as per the age to this percentile chart when you suspect or when patient comes to you for the assessment of obesity or when you suspect the obesity. Next thing, assessment of obesity by thorough history taking, physical examination, comorbidities evaluation also is important. Like NAFLD, dyslipidemia, hypertension, diabetes mellitus, polycystic ovarian syndrome, as said, and sleep apnea also is one of the important factor which can cause morbidity. And if you suspect clinically, then you go for endocrine, which are the endocrine and other causes, genetic diseases, CNS disease, injury, they are very uncommon. Almost 5% of the cases may be like that. In this study, waist hip ratio was assessed, but that is outdated now. As I will say, only thing important is BMI percentile. Skin fold thickness, waist hip ratio, etc. are not important at all. Investigation, initially we have to do basic investigation and go ahead with the thing and follow the cases. What is important is to follow up the cases regularly and assess. And as treatment wise, aggressive intervention, if a child is very small, aggressive intervention. If child is older, you can go slow wise, but every time cardiometabolic and other risk has to be assessed as shown. So they can be done through the various blood investigation, which were not done in this study because this study was we can say as a pilot study for the further studies. So these are the limitation of this study, I will say. Then what is added also has been said initially in this study. This study has given fuel for doing further other interesting studies, especially in India. Actually, other treatment is not part of this study, so I will not go into treatment part of it. Otherwise, it will be very time consuming. So I conclude here by assessing this study, its strength and the weaknesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kamble, sir. I request our Vice President, Dr. Vikas More, sir, if we have any questions in the chat box, it can be discussed with our expert. Over to you, sir. Vikas, sir, please unmute.
Pallavi, madam, whether he can unmute?
Yes, sir. He can unmute.
Yes.
Vikas, sir, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Avinash from Jalgaon and respected Vijay Kamble sir for explaining the very important topic in our day-to-day pediatric practice. And I can see in the chat box, Chitra madam has asked one question that as Dr. Avinash was revealing that he has told many points in which this study was conducted, and they saw that there is a fruit and vegetable intake, whether they are abstaining from salt, whether there is fat abstinence was present, and how much time duration for exercise was given during this study. But madam was asking that what about the dietary recall and different habits, sleeping time and screen time, how it is affecting the obesity, whether it was these factors were taken into account while conducting this study.
His screen time was not assessed because it was not part of objective of study. Actually, it is important part nowadays, screen time, very important part. So it was not assessed in this study. This study being a small was encircled around very few objectives only. That was the cardiometabolic risk and dietary intervention. So this has not been studied in this study. Dietary recall again it's considered, it is important, but again dietary recall itself has got multiple limitation because hardly any parent or child will remember 7 days what. So these are universal limitations of any study. If you take a dietary recall for 7 days, So people nowadays are taking dietary recall for 3 days as one of the standard method, not 7 days. So 3 days dietary recall can be easily either child or a parent can remember and can be taken into. And screen time, very important, important point has been taken. That was not considered. Again, in COVID, how much screen time, what is the screen time definition is going to change probably after a few months.
Sir, Chitra Madam has again given a follow-up question that whether the blood pressure was measured after 6 months of the study.
Blood pressure was not recorded because after 6 months in this study, that was not recorded. Only dietary, it was considered on dietary things. Other examinations and blood investigations are not done in this study.
So, if anybody is interested in asking more questions, please ask.
Yes, Dr. Vikas. I will ask one practical question.
Yeah.
In day-to-day practice, what is the counseling to give as per the study in the case of obese as well as non-obese children? So in non-obese as a preventive counseling, and as obese, of course, we have to counsel. So what is the exact counseling words? What we have to advise, exercise-wise, what exercise, and food habits also, and how to go about it. Perfect counseling, what we should do with them. That is one question, and whether we should record BP at each time or when we should record BP.
Sir, are you talking in general population or the obese population?
In our day-to-day practice in general population.
Yeah, general population after 5 years, every year BP is recorded as per as AAP recommendation. Every year it has to be monitored. Weight also has to be height has to be monitored for obesity. That is BMI percentile has to be monitored for each and every baby. That is every yearly. For obese, it depends on how much severe obesity, overweight or obesity that is there. Blood pressure has to be monitored with each visit follow-up is there. Important questions to be asked is again, it is a screen time is important, physical activity, how much physical activity. Every child as per WHO, global physical activity awareness, that 60 minutes of physical exercise is definitely required. And for obese children, it will be the graded exercise again, because they cannot do exercise also initial stage. So it has to be given in a proper way exercise, because giving too much of exercise for them also will be the problematic. But for each and every child, the exercise physical activity mild to moderate is to be one hour, that has to be taken. And diet, as far as diet is concerned, you cannot say go negative way and say don't take junk foods. What you have to take, small portions of the foods and frequent foods. That is the main motto. That should be the advice given to the small, frequent, and no juices, sweetened juices, or any artificial or canned juices. This is the in general counseling has to be done for the parents as well as children. And the basically another important fact is environment modification. That is parents. If parents are doing a different way, so parents attitude awareness and attitude modification is the one of that is environment modification. So that can be at school level, home level, or surrounding level, or even the other level. So that has to be. So parents has to be counseled. They should be given proper. If the child or parents, both of them are having will, then only it is possible. Otherwise, the parents will say, "Mera bacha mere jaisa hai," that's so we have to counsel in that way. How receptive are the parents? That is more important even in USA and other thing, because if parents behave properly, a child is going to behave properly, and motivation from both parents and child, that is very important. Practically, everybody must have seen this part.
साध्या भाषेत सर एक्सरसाइज करणं म्हणजे काय करावं नक्की बाळाने असं विचारतो मी. काय एक्सरसाइज सांगायचं, काय करायला पाहिजे?
साध्या भाषेत म्हणजे फक्त एक ब्रिस्क वॉकिंग एवढंच इम्पॉर्टंट आहे. बाकी काय नाही. बाकी जिम्नॅशियम वगैरे इज नॉट ऍडवाइस. ब्रिस्क वॉकिंग ते पण एकदाच 60 मिनिट्स नाही केलं नाही तरी चालेल. You can divide it while going to school. If they are using a nearby school, they can go walking. So around 60 minutes of simple walking is adequate. थोडा brisk एवढंच पाहिजे, बाकी काय नको. No gym and other.
Sir, can I ask one question? My question is general questions. Hello. Sir, can we suggest to government to ban the advertisement of this junk food? At least have a statutory warning, as we are seeing on cigarette packet. Such statutory warning should be on the package of junk food, I think. And we should suggest, fortunately, we are having central executive board member, central IP, and Kulkarni sir also. Well, my suggestion is that that suggestion should be given to the government to ban the junk food advertisement. Thank you.
Good suggestion, actually, sir.
Difficult question.
Actually, it is a good. It will come after some certain year when the pandemic, obesity pandemic is going to get increased. Definitely.
त्याला असं आहे ना, त्याला काय सोल्युशन नाहीये, पण त्याला असं सांगताना काउन्सिलिंग सांगताना आपण किती सांगा येऊ नका, पण असं सांगता येईल 10 दिवसातून एकदा कधी खाल्लं, 8 दिवसातून कधी खाल्लं तर चालतं, पण रोज नाही खायला पाहिजे. दॅट इज ओनली मिस.
ऍटलीस्ट जर वॉर्निंग जर असेल तिथे की दॅट कॅन बी इंजुरियस टू हेल्थ, तरी
पण सिगारेट प्रोडक्शन कमी नाही झाले. पण
जय सरांना विचारायचं.
I just want to take from Kulkarni sir.
Yes.
माझ्या विषयाच्या बाहेरचा विषय आहे, तरी पण माझं एक जनरल पिडियाट्रिशियन म्हणून मत देतो. म्हणजे एक्सरसाइज विषयी विचारलं होतं काय एक्झॅक्टली सांगायचं, तर ब्रिस्क वॉकिंग, व्हॉट आय रिअली बिलीव्ह इन अँड व्हॉट आय टेल, 1 तास पूर्ण अंग मोकळं सोडून बाहेर खेळू दे, अंगातनं घाम निघेस्तवर. व्हॉट एव्हर इट बी अ एक्सरसाइज, लेट इट बी अ फिजिकल एक्सरसाइज इन एनी फॉर्म, इंडियन और वेस्टर्न स्पोर्ट, वॉकिंग, सायकलिंग, व्हॉट एव्हर इट इज, अर्धा तास अंगातनं घाम सुटेस्तोवर बाहेर पाठवायचं, त्याशिवाय घरात घ्यायचं नाही संध्याकाळी. दिस इज द ओनली एक्सरसाइज और अदर वे ऑफ टेलिंग इट. तुम्हाला काय पाहिजे ते खेळा, 1 तास खेळा, अंगात घाम सुटलेला दाखवा, मगच घरात एंट्री द्यायची. दिस इज द ओनली वे. आणि वानखेडे सरांनी सजेस्ट केलं, आय हायली अप्रिशिएट दॅट. पण हे जरा इंट्रिकेट इश्यूज आहेत. काय लक्षात आलं का, ओबेसिटी, रोल ऑफ जंक फूड इन ओबेसिटी हा एक छोटा भाग झाला, मल्टीफॅक्टोरियल आहे. जेनेटिक इश्यू आहे, फॅमिली इटिंग कल्चर आहे, या सगळ्या ज्या गोष्टी आहेत या थोड्याशा, कसं आता टोबॅको आणि कॅन्सर याचं डायरेक्ट असोसिएशन सायंटिफिकली अप्रूव्ड आहे. दॅट्स वाय इट कॅन बी स्टेट वे सेल. बट अ फूड प्रॉडक्ट विच इज अवेलेबल, त्याला आपल्याला डायरेक्ट अशी कॉशन देणं, I feel that it's not that physical and ethical also, because binge eating किंवा uncontrolled indulgence जो आहे ना, त्याच्यामध्ये प्रॉब्लेम आहे. And about any eatable, it's difficult to bring in this kind of thing. We know the problems we are facing about the infant milk formula also. So in this case, it's really very difficult. And the family culture, eating and lifestyle is the most important thing. I fully agree with the Dr. Kamle's study and their opinion, and highly appreciate the journal where you got a place published. Dr. David Isaacs is the icon in evidence-based pediatrics. He is the icon. And if you have published your article in his journal, that's a great thing to do. I highly appreciate your contributions.
Can I speak? Hello.
Yes, sir, you can speak.
Two things. I will not got much. First, parent are the role models. Yes, if parents are fit, your child going to be fit. Second thing, your pediatrician also a role model. Suppose smart pediatrician, fit pediatrician can motivate anyone. And to be very frank with you, I motivate one MR. Suppose obese MR त्याला motivate करतो, तो 6 महिन्यानंतर वजन कमी करून मला दाखवतो, right? So pediatricians are also role models for the parents as well as the kids. मला जय सरांनाच भेटायचंय, असं मला हेमंत गंगुले यांनाच भेटायचंय, असा पेशंट पाहिजे. आणि अशी मुलं असतात, त्यांचं बारकाईने लक्ष असतं 8-9-10 वर्षाला, राईट. कीप युअर ट्रॉफीज ऑफ स्पोर्ट्स इन युअर कॅबिनेट. दॅट इज व्हेरी व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट. डॉक्टर जर ढब्बा असेल, तो काय मोटिवेट करणार, असं मला स्पष्ट बोलायचं, खरं सांगायचं म्हणजे. अँड आय डू रेग्युलर जिमिंग. बॉडीज आर मेड इन द किचन, नॉट इन द जिम. तुमचं डाएट खरंच जर प्रॉपर असेल तर तुम्ही खरेच स्मार्ट दिसू शकता. सो दिस ओनली आय वांट टू थिंक. स्टडीज आर देअर, बट वी हॅव टू मोटिवेट पॅरेंट्स मोर रादर दॅन द चाइल्ड, राईट. वी हॅव टू टॉक विथ द पॅरेंट्स मोर. आणि इट शुड स्टार्ट अर्ली, राईट. हे प्रॅक्टिकल सगळ्यांना वाटतं की जिम करायचा म्हणजे फुल बॉडी बनवायची, रनिंग करायची म्हणजे 40 करोड पडायचं, असं नाहीये. स्टेप बाय स्टेप, सिम्पल, व्हॉट एव्हर बेस्ट पॉसिबल वे युअर विथ युअर टाइम लिमिट्स आहे त्याच्यामध्ये, वी हॅव टू डू इट. व्हॉट आय थॉट, आय सॉ दिस पॅन्डेमिक, लॉट ऑफ ह्यूज चाइल्ड, म्हणजे जबरदस्त ओबेसिटी आलेली आहे, म्हणजे काय काय मुलांना ओळखू शकलो नाही एवढी ओबेसिटी आलेली आहे आपल्या मुलांमध्ये. तर इट्स नाव अवर, येस, वर रनिंग नियमन तुम्ही टाइम सांगितले. So sorry, so it was a great presentation. It's very important.
Last question from Nilima, and then we will go to next.
Actually,
Yes,
suggestion, as Vijay Kamble sir was saying, ki brisk walking is the exercise. But what I have observed is kids get bored of walking. त्यांना एकच प्रकारचा एक्सरसाइज सांगून चालत नाही. So what Dr. Kulkarni said is correct, that let them play. Outdoor play is the most important thing, so that they should get some exercise out of that. Formal एक्सरसाइज, जिमिंग अँड जो एक्सरसाइज आपण वेट लॉस साठी सांगतो तो बियॉन्ड 18, बियॉन्ड 20 पॉसिबल आहे. छोट्या मुलांमध्ये तो त्यांच्यासाठी वॉकिंग इज नॉट एन्जॉयबल एक्सरसाइज, सो त्याचा उपयोग कमी होतो, असं माझं ऑब्झर्वेशन. थँक्यू.
Hello, thank you so much for questions and inputs. Last, only one question I want to ask regarding this happy heart score and risk score for diabetes, whether this score can be implemented in a routine pediatric practice. Vijay Kamble sir, can you?
Sorry, हा स्कोर थोडा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड आहे आणि पिडियाट्रिक हे नाहीये, म्हणजे त्याच्या अजून इट इज pediatric related studies जास्त नाही, त्याच्यामुळे we cannot recommend this for our pediatric population. Some easy score has to be found out and validated, basically, because scores needs to be validated. So this is not validated for the pediatric even adolescent population. So some other good scores are required for this studies, and that we are doing MGM. We are going to validate one of such scores. It will come after some time. And in fact, we are having some app also that is under production regarding this dietary evaluation and cardiometabolic risk profile reliability. So that is also under process. So that when it will be validated, it will come out. Then only it will be accepted. So till that time, I cannot say anything about such effort. But efforts are going on in various places regarding this standardizing the scores.
Thank you so much, sir. Over to Dr. Chitra, madam.
Over to Dr. Neha.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay Kamble sir and Vikas sir. Serum neutralizing antibodies appear rapidly after SARS coronavirus 2 infection and post-vaccination. These are maintained for several months. But the emergence of SARS-CoV variants has raised concern about the breadth of neutralizing antibody responses. And hence, our next speaker is going to present on the topic reduced neutralization of SARS coronavirus 2 Omicron variant by post-immunization serum. I request Dr. Chitra ma'am to please introduce and welcome our next speaker and expert. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, the second topic is about Omicron, and the expert is an infectious disease specialist graduated from Oxford. Dr. Pramod Kulkarni sir is consultant at KEM and Dinanath Mangeshkar Hospital, Pune. He has been secretary to IIP Pune previously and currently Central IIP Executive Board member. He has contributed in 4 IIP modules and in book of Rational Antibiotic Practice, and also for pertussis surveillance study and a WHO IIP COVID registry. Welcome, Dr. Kulkarni. And the presenter for Omicron topic is Dr. Jayashree Deshpande. She is a practicing pediatrician for last 30 years in Ashirwad Hospital, Nalasopara. A bright student from beginning, she is also practicing 2D echo from last 8 years. She has presented her original research paper in 2008 and then Indore Pedicon 2019, and abstract was given in Chest Congress 2020. and she will be presenting a paper in coming Noida Pedicon also. Welcome, Dr. Jayashree, and please start your presentation.
Good evening. Good evening all. Respected Dr. Gangulia sir, Dr. Mohanty sir, Dr. Pramod Kulkarni sir, and all the Maha-IAP distinguished members and distinguished member from IAP Raigad. I thank from my bottom of heart for giving me this opportunity to present this paper on this prestigious platform where the knowledge is shared. Please, first slide I want to see. Yeah, this paper was reduced neutralization of SARS-CoV-2 Omicron B11529 variant by post-immunization serum. Next, this paper was presented in the prestigious The Lancet. Hello? Hello? I don't want to make it that fast. Yeah, this Lancet, this was published in 20 December 2021, quite recent study where Delta was winning off and Omicron was riding on the third wave. Next. Authors were Vasiva, Robert, Priyada, Chang, Arbela, and Andrew et al. Next. This was, we all know, like 5 million deaths over last 2 years, and the original SARS-CoV strain was it was mainly recognized by the spike protein S. And main naughty enzyme which is present in this virus is RNA polymerase, which is intrinsically error prone and may cause several variants. As we all see, like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and now Omicron has so many mutations. Mainly Omicron has almost 42 mutations, and the affinity towards the receptor protein is increased. Next. And this is the reason which causes the highly transmissibility rate. It's almost 60 to 80%. And another reason for this is like it may cause breakthrough natural or vaccinated based immunity. And it may cause, this mutation has caused a third wave. And this was predicted in December, where there is an initial wave was going on. Next. The method is that here they have done a sera from individuals with seronegative at the enrollment depending on the anti-nucleocapsid IgG. This is N protein which is produced by the vaccinated, mainly in the vaccinated people. They have taken two groups, 2 doses, where 2 doses of Oxford AstraZeneca, that we will call it Covishield, or 2 doses of Pfizer. They have labeled it as BNT with a proper interval of 8 to 11 weeks. And the sample was obtained after 28 days after second immunization, where the individual immunity, they have given time to develop the individual immunity in such cases, like 28 days after the second dose. This live neutralizing titers against Omicron compared with the alpha and the beta and delta variants. Next. Results were, as we all know, like it has received homologous Covishield were below detectable. Even in patients who has received 2 doses of Pfizer, it was reduced to almost 54 to the Omicron variant. Some of the variants did not neutralize with 50% focus reduction neutralization titer at dilution or less than 1/20 showed some residual neutralizing activity as shown in the figure. Next. This was a chart where we can see first where Covishield was given. It was at the time of Omicron almost not detectable. With the Pfizer vaccine, it was reduced to almost 54. And the third chart shows where Pfizer has some residual activity, that blue dot. Next. So as we all see that there was decrease in neutralization titer in recipients of both like Covishield as well as Pfizer, suggesting that Omicron is more antigenically distant from the original SARS-CoV vaccine strain than the previous most distant strain like Beta or Delta. Next. So this was a preliminary data from UK Health Agency where they have predicted that because of such distant, antigenically distant from the original vaccine strain or the basic SARS-CoV strain, breakthrough infection will be there and there will be further wave of infection because of Omicron. That was predicted in December. And a high starting neutralizing titer against early pandemic strain gives a higher level of neutralization of Omicron, which could be obtained by deploying a third booster dose. Next. Conclusion is very important, I think, and it's more significant now for us. Like there are some reassurance that third dose of COVID vaccine indeed increases the vaccine effectiveness. So it's advisable to take a Covishield booster. And the very important message this study gives is that there is a possible consideration of changing monovalent vaccine strategy to the multivalent formulation. As we can see, like in influenza cases where WHO studies the variant of more important or variant of concern, and then they advise the companies to produce a vaccine every year. And I think this is the phase where we should consider a multivalent formulation common for all over the world. Thank you. Next. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayashree ma'am. It was a wonderful presentation. I request Dr. Pramod Kulkarni sir for his expert opinion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Raigad IIP and Maha IIP, all the officials as well as members for inviting me to this very attractive and very interesting discussion, journal article discussions. And thank you, Dr. Jayashree, for reading it so clearly and candidly. Now let us look at this publication, I would say, published in the most reputed journal, Lancet, under the correspondence section. It actually is not a research study as such, but if we consider under the finer criteria, you will see the feasibility, no issue. Vaccine Oxford Vaccine Group, it's very much feasible for them. They are the senior most players in COVID vaccines. Then this innovativeness, definitely there is something new in this. Then is it interesting? Yes, it is interesting. All were waiting for the early information about the Omicron, new variant in the global picture, with a scare of causing the third wave, as expected, which did it, and the novelty and more of a relevance. So on this criteria, I will say, as this paper or case report is published, laboratory report is published of 22 and 21 cases who have already been under vaccine program and monitoring. They were subjected to challenge of live virus neutralization, and the virus was obtained from actual patient of Omicron, which was collected, and the virus was subjected to the various sera of various duration of post-vaccine status of two different popular vaccine. One was Covishield and the second was BioNTech. So that was the study, and that compared with 22 and 21 number, and looked at the neutralizing ability of the sera induced by the vaccines, two different vaccines, over the time period after completion of initial two vaccine schedule. And they have also subjected the previously stored Victoria as well as Beta, Delta, Gamma, all the other variants as well, to look at what has happened to the protectiveness or the protective neutralizing antibodies induced by the vaccines, what has happened to them over time, and what is the sustenance of that immunity. So this study or report is actually very interesting to answer many questions we all had in our mind. So the basic challenge, the first thing which came with the antigenic drift of the this new variant of concern Omicron, it was said to be so many times highly infectious than the previous strains. That was the biggest thing. So the devastating ability to spread across, it has established, and now we know very much. Within a month of publication, within a month of first reporting, it has occupied all the world. And today, 150 countries all over the world have registered, and it is dominating strain now, outgrowing the Delta as well as the other variants. So Omicron, beyond any doubt, has lived up to its reputation as being the highest infective variant of concern. Number one. So we were worried of the about characteristics of this variant. So how severe or virulent it is? Number one. Number two, how much it can evade the immunity. So immune evasiveness. Two, number one, natural previous strain vaccines or variant vaccine, various vaccines, as well as natural infections due to previous corona variants. So that was the main. And the third one, the neutralizing monoclonal antibodies used therapeutically were directed against specific proteins, spike proteins. So their effectiveness against this variant. So these are the usual 4 questions everybody asked about variant, new variant reported, whether it's a variant of interest or variant of concern. So these, the first one, which was very well addressed by the early studies, answered it well, and it has been established that it is the highest infective variant of concern of SARS-CoV-2. Number 2, vaccine evasiveness. This particular study, currently we have various parameters to look at the vaccine evasiveness. There are 2 types of immunity arms we know. One is humoral and one is cellular. The world recognized and easily available, and the standard one is humoral immunity, the titers of the neutralizing antibodies, which are supposed to be protective for acquisition of new infection. Number 1. So that is the standard one. And the cellular immunity or the innate immunity, we do not have actually very good assays, standardized assays, which can be freely used to assess the cellular immunity, how much effective it is, or to assess actually. So these are the 2 aspects of it. So by standards, we go by neutralizing antibody titers induced by previous natural infection or the vaccines, various brand vaccines, various technology vaccines. And in this case, we have seen in this study, 2 vaccines, Covishield and the BioNTech, have been used. The most maximum number of vaccines administered all over the globe. And as expected, it is showing drop in the humoral antibody and inability of the previous vaccines, which were developed against spike protein of the old variant, to neutralize the new Omicron variant, which was antigenically so different from the original, to the level that it is being called as a totally different, antigenically different virus itself. So that is the antigenic drift it comes with. And to look at that, so neutralizing serology or antibody titers definitely were not protective. But the only ray of hope shown here was the booster vaccine could protect additional percentage, and the titers were lifted up to offer some protection. So this study tells us that the previous vaccines or natural infection, previous variant immunity was not very effective to protect us against the Omicron variant. This was the scientific information, early information given by this report to us, saying that being fully vaccinated is not a protection against the spread of this highly infective Omicron as it happened. Similarly, failure of the previous natural disease of COVID is also not very protective, but a booster dose might help in some additional cross protection and raising the levels of neutralizing antibodies. So this was the important information given so that we could focus on the upcoming, this third wave of Omicron world over, how to curtail it. This is the relevance value of this study. But again, the question which I asked at the choice of this study, basically, this is a study immediately after reporting of VOC of status by WHO in last week of November from Africa. It was declared as variant of concern. If you look at this report study published in the second week of December, it was just to guide us about the progress of the third wave and the potentials of Omicron to cause the third wave. And it has already passed. Now almost 1.5 months has gone, and now it's an established fact that Omicron is the predominant currently viral variant which has outgrown all the other variants, previous variants, including Delta, across the globe, in India as well. Now we have a receding third wave, and within 1.5 months of first case reported, we are reaching the nadir of the third wave of Omicron. Just to update you about that. So this is one neutralizing antibody titer study. Yesterday only we have got one publication from Israel with the other parameter of assessment of immunity, that is cellular immunity or innate immunity. So the CD4 count, CD8 count, and the NK cell count in Israel study. It was studied and it has shown that previous vaccination as well as natural disease-induced immunity, cellular immunity is intact. More than 80 to 85% of the recipients are offering protection against severe disease and hospitalization and death. So this study telling us about one arm of immunity being deficient on basis of previous exposure to disease or vaccines. The other studies which have recently come up have added further, though the initial studies, serological studies about humoral immunity are definitely telling us the issues are there. The newer additional studies are telling us definitely, and that is our experience. We have seen the severity or virulence issue, hospitalization rate, case fatality rate is definitely very, very, very low in case of Omicron. And many of us are not devastated by the huge and the worst ever fast growing wave of Omicron. So a fantastic report early in time of early days of Omicron, definitely giving us insights about protection and the future of the progression of the Omicron. That was very usefulness and value of this report published under correspondence. Obviously, it has its own value in as Lancet publication and the Oxford Vaccine Group as well as National UK Agency as giving their early opinion about the Omicron as a threat to UK public as well as global population. So that's the value of this study. That's a very nice study.
The question in the chat box, Dr. Chitra Kulkarni, is a claim of giving booster of same category better. So already explained, sir, it may help cross protection, right? So Dr. Hemant want to ask some question. Dr. Hemant, or our MHAIP president, is there?
Yes, Dr. Jay. The question is, government policies giving the booster of the same dose. This study definitely shows that Omicron, the booster dose is needed for the protection. So my question is, whether suppose if patient asks me, okay, I have taken XYZ vaccine, should I take XYZ only or I should take ABC? If there is a possibility. Of course, CoviLab will not allow that, but what and government policy is stricting to the is strict against the same same vaccine to be given. So what can be done if anybody asks? Because there are the international travelers coming. They saying I have taken Pfizer. Now in India, what to take? So what is what we should answer in our practice?
Basically, the studies about efficacy of a booster vaccine available, which have been published, are only for mRNA vaccines. They are not for the Indian brands which we are using. There are not official publications telling about age of one vaccine over other, and all are early predictions. What I would say, depending on the available evidence, let us say whatever is available according to your eligibility, it should be taken, because basically this booster vaccination protection again is said to be very short lasting. Just to protect, it is most important for the high risk category people where the booster vaccination is more relevant. If you recollect, the early opinion of the experts, epidemiologists in India, was against giving a booster vaccine. But it was changed over, the policy was changed in favor of a booster vaccine, or rather, not a booster vaccine, but a precaution dose, just to increase the antibody titers for protection of the high-risk people only. So it is a really irrelevant question. If now there is a recommendation for booster, whatever is available, one should go for. One should never think of brand or that. There is no choice. And even if you get choice, there is hardly any difference in that. It is not going to make much difference.
Some of the studies suggested that if one takes the heterologous, there is a manifold rise as compared to the homologous.
See, basically, again, as I told you, the immunity against COVID disease is a multi-pronged immunity. What we are looking at is a narrow segment of the SS immunity. And as you have seen in this study, what did it tell us? The humoral immunity is too short of its expectation to protect us against Omicron. What has happened? Omicron, we got Omicron. But what was the point of crux? Protection against the severe disease. And now we have the newer studies telling us that the cellular immunity and the innate immunity is very well preserved, even with primary 2-dose schedule also, and is being boosted by the boosters. So don't worry about the unseen arm of which is definitely there, which is definitely protective. Why narrow down our protection expectation from a narrow segment of humoral antibody titers, which is not a right reflection of true immunity?
Sir,
so the message I got, if anybody has taken Pfizer, and if it's not available, he can take any other vaccine also. Is that right?
Yes, whichever is take a booster is the first message. Okay. If not for you, the high-risk people in our community, in our family, number one. Number two, to add some personal protection against new infection or a bad disease, definitely. The initial vaccines as well as the booster vaccines are protecting all of us for a severe COVID disease, definitely. Let us not forget that. Let all of us take a precaution dose for us as well as the high risk near ones, definitely.
Sir, I have one question. Now we are worried of getting an infection. Omicron is highly infectious, getting easily infected, right? With this Omicron itself give the infection, producing antibody our body, the cross protection to other previous variants, Delta and other, whether it gives that. That is also so. Omicron minor infection is received with the vaccination to the body natural sources. What is your take on this?
See, basically, let me tell you one thing, Jay, and everybody here. All the publication, all the informations, if you recollect 2 years back, when we first had a case of COVID-19 in month of April, not before that. And all the speculations, what has happened to all the N number of plethora of publications done over last 2 years about COVID, 99% of them have been in trash bin now. And what stands the fact is just 1% of the information in form of open research given a publication bias, open publication bias. Again, about your question, let me tell you, time is going to answer all these questions. Let us not speculate and go for any speculated action and a choice of doing things and that. Please don't do that. Nobody on this earth can predict it confidently. I don't believe in a single best person, a scientist in COVID who can tell this. Can you recollect in month of November, everybody of us was complacent with the seniors telling us no more third wave. We had forgotten third wave when it was anticipated in the month of September, October, November. And we have faced it now in the month of January, December and January. So nothing holds true in a new disease and new virus which is evolving every day. So I will never like to speculate, never like to make anybody take a decision just out of these speculations and half-hearted, very raw early reports, scientific reports being easily published across any journal of any stature, any stature. So time is going to answer what is the genuine study and science in COVID disease. Not now. Let us look back to it after 2 more years.
Yes, sir. As an organizer of Mahapedicon 2021, between second and third wave, we were lucky. In that window period, we got our conference and enjoyed. Thank you. Speculation was there of third wave. आएगी नहीं, लेकिन आई
ओमाइक्रॉन जैसे डर गया था, ओमाइक्रॉन डर गया था आपसे भी.
महापेडिकॉन से डर गया था, इसलिए वो रुक गया.
There is one question from Chitra madam. Should we consider asymptomatic infection in a number game? Yes, why not? I think.
Forget number game. Forget number game. Everybody is positive for Omicron. Just forget it. When the wave is receding, next week, there will be a nadir of the Omicron wave in Mumbai. I am telling in Maharashtra. Sir, it is later in Karnataka. Already 4 early centers have registered the decline, significant decline and recession of the wave. And next 2 weeks, we will be at the lowest transmission rate of Omicron. Just forget it. Everybody of us is positive by this time. Don't test unless you need hospitalization. Don't ask test in your patients also unless they need a hospitalization. Yes. Don't test it.
Sir, we are talking about the new variant. You are again speculating about the Omicron. New variant का क्या करेंगे? उसका नाम भी याद नहीं रह रहा है.
Just wait for Omicron आया गया, कुछ तकलीफ दिया क्या उसने? थोड़ा ओपीडी बढ़ा दिया आपकी 1 महीने के लिए. अच्छा हुआ और क्या हुआ? कुछ भी नहीं हुआ.
It was an excellent presentation, an excellent comment by the expert. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod Kulkarni, sir, Jayashree ma'am and Dr. Jay, sir. Now I request our IIP Raigarh Secretary, Dr. Dhananjay Rathod, sir,
Neha, just Dr. Yes, Mohanty, sir, your take.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Mohanty, sir, expert comments.
Expert comments is our advisor about this journey journal since first episode.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Sir, I was saying our day is done with Dr. Pramod Kulkarni's present, sir. And this is exactly the way a journal paper is discussed. Right. See, look at it point by point. The relevance of the topic, how it is done, how it is planned, everything he covered. The journal, I have to again say it again, this is the way we should present the journal club. Both the topics were very well presented. Heads up to both the speakers. We had a tendency to ask more management-oriented questions. This is not the venue.
Right.
Here, how the topic is planned, how the objectives was drawn, how the result is done, where are the flaws in this, what are the shortcomings of the paper, and what is the strength in the paper, what messages gives to the our pediatrician for the use in the community. That should be there, what relevance it is. And both the topics were good. The first topic, I must say one line that the first author of the topic is our undergraduate student. He is a Dr. Kamale's own son. And this guy got a acceptance of the ICMR. This has become an ICL project. And Dr. Kamale did not elaborate it further. This app has already been developed. This app has already been validated, and by using this app, one can predict which child is going to have cardiometabolic problems in future. So that is a preventive thing. So the app is already validated. I can just add to this. Thank you, Dr. Jayashree. You have done excellent job today. Our day is done. Sir, thank you so much for the in detail discussion, and this is the way how a journal topic really in the comments and discussion. See, sir is from the top class institute and highly acclaimed and experienced. Heads up to him. Thank you, sir.
Kulkarni, there is question. I can say he himself asked, Jay, हा आर्टिकलचा म्हणजे रिलेव्हंट आता आहे का? सध्या सगळे नवीन व्हेरियंट येतो, सध्या स्टडी भरपूर चेंज होतात. आय सेड लेट अस डिस्कस, राईट? The discussion is any article present in the journal club is just to open the discussion. You can discuss any other many different things about not that article, about the COVID and the other diseases. That was the reason we take any article present here, start the discussion, right? So sir, there is question very important. Dr. Suhas Bendrikar, is it a proper time to send children to the school? We can discuss overnight, but I want some short intake on this. Anybody, even you want to? Dr. Anjali is there. She's laughing. I think she wants to say something here.
Kulkarni sir, you have any take on this?
Okay, we have our Maharashtra task force as well as local task force addressing this question very pertinently, already being answered and being executed today onwards. So, as I said, it's past community spread, and no social measures can stop Omicron. Right. Better why to stop a thing which is already going away? And there is no relevance in closing the schools and all those things. The time has already gone.
Right.
So the recent Lancet also says that the children are not the source of infections.
Right.
Rather, from the home, they get more infections spread it.
Right.
They get the infections, but in the schools, they hardly get the infections. I have studied in detail because I am presently the sitting chairperson of the disaster management group of the IAP. So we have studied in details. This is school. We should not prevent this thing to happen.
It was a myth previously. It was said kids are the super spreader. It's a myth. Only adults are these super spreaders. Yeah. And a case, highly symptomatic case, is the super spreader. Exactly. Never kids were the super spreader.
Only 2 years, not the 2 years. They have a decade is lost. 1 decade, almost a decade, learning is lost. They should go to the school.
Right. So over to Dr. Neha, MOC. We're going for the thanks. Thank you, Kulkarni sir, and everybody present. Dr. Jayashree. Our both present, Dr. Avinash, expert Kamble sir, and our Dr. Chitra, Dr. Neha, everybody present here for your attending this session. That is more important to us. We are going to come with every first month of every month. I think I'm going to be lifelong with. We love this journey journal because it opens us a lot of Pandora of discussion, I can say. So, Dr. Dhananjay, are you ready for vote of thanks?
Dhananjay sir,
आप ही दे दो, नहीं तो धनंजय सर नहीं है. हाँ है.
Yes.
On behalf of IIP Raigad, I would like to thank Dr. Vijay Kamble sir and Dr. Pramod Kulkarni sir for their valuable time as our expert today. Sincere thanks to Dr. Mohanty sir for his continuous guidance for this wonderful activity. Sincere thanks to Dr. Hemant Gangulia sir for MahaIP platform. I would like to thank Dr. Avinash Bhosle sir and Dr. Jayashree Deshpande madam for this wonderful presentation. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Jay Bhandarkar sir, the state convener MahaIP, Dr. Wankhede sir, President Raigad IIP, and Dr. Vikas More sir, Vice President Raigad IIP. Sincere thanks to Dr. Chitra Kulkarni madam and Dr. Neha madam for smooth conduction of this wonderful activity. Finally, I would like to thank Ms. Pallavi Dharmadhikari madam and MahaIP virtual meeting platform for making this event possible. Finally, sincere thanks to all the delegates who are present on the Zoom as well as YouTube platform. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Also, thanks to Dr. Samir, EB MAHAIP member, then as well as Snehal from Hingoli, MAHAIP EB member, as well as Dr. Bhupesh Bond from Amravati, and also many are there. Dr. Mahesh Moiti sir is there. So it has been attended, but thanks for attending all this. And probably everybody has enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any comments from Dr. Samir or Dr. Bhupesh or Dr. Snehal or Dr. Mohiti sir? They are invited for 1 or 2 minute comment.
Please, hi. So both the journals were excellent, and after a long time I enjoyed both, and it was very nice. Dr. Kulkarni very specific I heard about, and even Nimain sir also, and then Dr. Bhosle, everybody was so nice in the Deshpande also. Regarding the schools, I have one thing that definitely we need to start the schools. There are a lot of data on that, that schools can be started. Even we have now everything in space about water. Definitely we would have started the schools much earlier, because the kids cannot talk, read or speak about the corona. That doesn't mean that they should be denied. They are going outside, they are going to the malls, they are going for play, they are going for private tuitions, and they are mixing together. Nothing happens to them, or if it happens, they get very mild infections. Even in the first and second wave, we have seen that. In the third wave, even for the adults also, we have seen it's a mild disease. So no point in waiting for that, and we should go ahead. There are a lot of countries, specifically a few countries, where the schools were practically never stopped. In most of the schools are already started in many places in the 2020 itself, and they are doing quite well. And we have seen it now it is used to for the schools. The schools initially were afraid how to start on the online, but now they are very happy with online because they have less money to spend and earn more by doing with online schools. But it is not good. So it's teachers who are ready, doctors who are ready, parents are ready, but it's the management of the schools which we need to force them now, that they should be agree and they should come forward. And so is for the management of the particular municipal corporation. They need to come forward and tell now, yes, we need our kids to go to the schools. So I have one article written to the good pub. If somebody wants, I will share with them.
Yeah, post on the group, please. Dr. Mahesh sir, Mohite sir.
Sorry, actually I joined very late. Just last comment related to Samir and maybe what Kulkarni said. आपल्याला सगळं नेहमी उशिरा आलेलं शहाणपण असतं. School is not causing anything, we all knew. But we had a World Bank to say that it's a disaster, and then only. So everything is finance driven. I mean, there was no definite proof that the school is spreading anything, but we waited. And then none of the smart person from this country said that it is useless. Now that World Bank said, and the CM says it can be started, all of us have become smart to say that it was too late. So I think that's how the country runs. You can't help it. You are always driven by the finances. And this time it was the World Bank. So sometimes else it will be something different. It's more of a political issue. But good. Always, sometime it started, that's not bad. Otherwise, they would have waited for another fifth wave to come and take it over. But good, I hope they will not stop it again due to any other wave.
Dr. Ramakant, EB from Maharashtra and organizing chairman of this 2022 Mahapetikana Nashik. Dr. Ramakant, sir, aayat ka tumi? Your comment, please. Ramakant, sir. So, but one important announcement, please join tomorrow for mentor mentees or another very relevant topic and a very important topic, new style of again from MAHAIP.
Friday, Nare.
Not tomorrow, Friday.
Friday.
Friday
होगा
ना? 4 तारीख.
Okay, Friday, that is understanding the pediatric immunodeficiency on the Friday.
Thursday, we have got intensive care of mentor mentee, and Friday, we got Maharashtra State mentor mentee.
So please keep watch. We have a lot of activities in this coming year, right? 2022. Ramakant sir, आहेत का? Anybody want to?
Snehal is there.
Snehal, doctor, bola, sir.
Sir, good evening to all. Both the topics were very good today, and hope this will be continuing next month also. Next month, there is Hingoli, Parbhani, Bid, and Nanded will be hosting this. So hope attendance also today was very good, and in next month it will reach up to century now. So with this, I will
Yeah, many
finish my
could not join. They can watch on the YouTube also.
Right.
So
It will be
will-
recorded
Yes.
and video on the.
Yeah. So we can have definitely have more numbers.
Ramakant sir, आहेत कालच का तुम्ही? Ramakant sir.
Good evening.
Good
Sorry,
evening.
I joined very late. And anyway, I have nothing to say on this already proven, as Dr. Mohite sir has already said, and it was there. We have Paschat Buddhi आपल्यालाही, but it is never too late. But what I would like to congratulate Gangulia sir and you, the state convener, and the Maha IAP for Power Pack program. I think this will be a benchmark for all the state IAPs and particularly Maha IAPs. I am overwhelmed and flabbergasted with the excellent ideas and so many innovative programs. I wish you all the best, and I would like to participate in each and whenever it is possible. Thank you. Congratulations to you all.
That's the spirit. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, Dhananjay.
झालं ना त्याचं WhatsApp tag. Okay, good night, everybody.
Yes, Neha, conclude.
Neha, conclude now. Dr. Neha.
मॅडम तुम्हीच करा conclude आता. मॅडम गेल्या त्या.
Yeah.
Vote of thanks झाल्यामुळे.
She was there.
She is there, I think.
Okay. So keep us blessed, and thank you all for joining. Thank you all the stalwarts who have given their opinion. Your opinion really matters to common pediatrician, and keep on learning. Please join 1st March for next journal journey. Thank you.
Give your suggestions also. You can send your suggestions.
1 minute.